stuff here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Uncommon, and I'm bringing you today the All-Invitational Group B. That's right, we're going to cast us some games, get these out for the people, for the team, and today, feeling good, feeling very good. This is definitely not the second run at this. We're definitely doing this for the first time, and we're going to jump with that. We're just going to jump right into the first game after, after we name the competitors. Let's name the competitors. Boomy, Anna Neal, Ribeye, and Fizzben. So actually 2 players I've never casted before personally. So it'll be good to see what they have up their sleeve. And diving right into that, right into game number 1. Boomy versus Anna Neal, both players I've never casted before. It's going to take place on 16-bit LE. For those who didn't see the last one, I have created a game 3 for every single one of these folders. So as I go through the replays, they've been either renamed or created. Whether or not they exist, we'll find out when we get to the game number 3. So that being said, let's jump right into 16-bit. Spawning in the top right-hand corner, the red Protoss, it is Boomy. His opponent in the bottom left-hand corner, the purple Protoss, Anna Neal. Alright, taking a quick look at this map. 16-bit's most interesting feature is its pocket natural. It creates some dead space over here for flying units, but it is completely blocked off from the ground without going through the main, which eventually will be going through the third, going through the main, and then back down another ramp into the third. It creates a much safer start, much safer expansion, something that Terran and Protoss typically like to work their, typically like to expand naturally too. Call this the Terran and Protoss is natural. The Zerg, however, moving much further forward into this base, this much less protected base, gets their creep spread moving in the right direction and gives them information a little faster. This, however, is the big key here. This is a much larger gap to this forward location than we normally see in natural, especially with this rock formation here. Allows units to even make this an even larger, maybe even taking down walls you try to set up to protect this location. Now, already seeing something weird here. We had the barracks lifted off and placed into his 4th base. It looks like he's gonna go Marauders nice and early and pop them across. Create a little bit of confusion here. He's got definitely an interesting supply depot set up. Not going to have a wall. Look, you got a barracks over here building in the main. Already spotted here by Boomy. Going to do some damage. I really forced that worker out of position. That is a lot of probes to be pulled for this, but he is changing it up, pulling a handful back to work on the minerals. And there goes that little SCV at 15 health as he's being chased by 2 probes. 10 health, 5 health, just one more zap. Just one more zap, little probe. And it looks like the SCV is going to get chased across the map. Alright, Boomy decided to pull off. It looks like he's scouting for those proxies. He's got the barracks in his base. Usually the proxy is right on top of your own base, so he's even got probes down here. Has not seen yet the racks. It's going to be a very, I don't think a very difficult proxy to spot. He doesn't see the barracks. He doesn't know where it's at yet. Probe came down through this area right into the base. He's scouted all the area, almost all the area around his own base. Checking now his potential 4th, all the little corners. He still hasn't seen that it is actually just outside his opponent's base. So throwing for a little bit of a loop here. Ooh, and Anna Neal getting that probe. But we do have the Marauders moving up from the base. Did miss that. It looks like they got a stalker for their trouble and a handful of probes. Very, very unfortunate for him to lose a stalker, but it looks like Ananil's happy with that amount of pressure and going to go home and see if they can't regroup. Taking a look at what each opponent has now. Looks like we are about to pop out an Immortal. So it looks like a Immortal Stalker for a little bit. This is that probe returns home. And back on the Terran side, so 2 Marauders. Looks like Hellion production. Some Widow Mines. So hard to tell. I couldn't tell you where Ananil's going here. This build has been a little crazy so far. Not fully walling off. Now opting to try to make up for some of the aggression by creating very fast command centers, trying to be a little greedy with economics, with the economy here. Economics. Armory finishing up now, so we'll see what direction Ananil decides to take this wacky start of a game. Alright, Widow Mine's in position here. Oracle finding a nice position on the top of the ramp, taking control of it now, as Boomy's trying to really get the information, see where his opponent's going. It's very hard to read, even from this position. I don't know what to expect yet. We do have a Liberator that came out of the starport. So right now, Liberator, Widow Mine, Marauder, Hellions. 4 Hellions going across the map, see if they can find any damage. That is 5 Hellions. As the Observer here is going to go over and get all the information, all of it right now. He's got it. He's going to go ahead and move out. Take a look at these, watch these Hellions. As they try to get in and get some damage done, they're going to be met at the corner here. Unfortunate, losing one to the Immortal Stalker combo that was able to cut him right off at the start of the third. And we've seen a very standard game so far out of Boomy. But that might not be what wins this game now. We have, I say standard, as we have a Disruptor on the field. Just outside of the vision. These units, the Hellions, looking like they're going to come in for another poke. Being pushed away again by the Stalkers. The Immortal. And the Disruptor. Taking a look at the production tab. Looks like we have a Raven on the way. The Viking about to pop out. 5 more Hellions. This is a good commitment to Hellions. I mean, when your harassment doesn't work, keep it up. Increase the power. But it does look like these 4 Hellions are keeping a good contain. The low-life Hellion being left to spot any move-outs. Looks like the Stalkers are going to push forward. They're going to actually snag that Hellion. So there goes the intel. It did see them at least moving forward into the middle of the map. We'll see if Ananil has any kind of reaction. Calling down a supply depot, and really building up a mass of Hellions. Blue Flame is in production. We will see, armor? Armor's in production, not Blue Flame. We'll see where, and I'm really curious where Ananil wants to take this. Sending out another Hellion, there's got to be a cheaper unit to do this. Coming out of a facility that you're not heavily using. But Ananil opting to, at least, information is important and it's valuable. Wanting to throw out a Hellion to see what they can find. There's that building you're not using. Moving across the map. Acting as the Terran's Overlord. Interesting spotting position here, as it looks like the Viking has spotted the Observer and able to pick that off at the front, really concealing this growing army size of Hellions popping out non-stop. Looks like 5 at a time. There we go. There's the Blue Flame. They're a little similar. They have some similarities. opting to pull out a handful, and looks like he's looking for a fourth expansion here. He needs to clear out his own tech lab from earlier in the game. And Neil here, pumping out so many Hellions. At a minimum, excellent army production. You can see the supply count 112 to 143. Opting to move out with about half, catching a hallucinated Phoenix here, getting a little bit of information, seeing all the factories. There goes a second Raven popping out now at the starport. Now, a couple Hellions over here securing the tower. The rest of the Hellions, the rest of the army, looks like moving to push. Look, Ananiel's trying to end the game, and with an army nearly double the size of his opponent, it doesn't matter how awkward or odd this composition may be. There's just so much of it. It's going to get a lot of damage done, and try sneaking right in through the back door, the front door, excuse me. The moment Boomy steps out, Liberator set up a position. That is a dangerous thing to walk into. Raven's in position, actually scaring off the rest of the army, pushing it back as these Hellions, absolutely Blue Flame Hellions, wrecking so many workers. These two Liberators, ooh, I see it now. I missed it the whole time. Carriers on the battlefield, paying too much attention to the wacky things Ananiel was doing, didn't see the wacky things Boomy was doing. We have 3 carriers on the field, a 4th and a 5th one on the way. There's 4 Stargates here, and actually looks like Ananiel's just going to sack all of his workers. He's going to bring the worker count to 0 with all of these very cleaned up Hellions. That is a lot of army dedicated to things that don't shoot up, but we are now down to 22 workers. And if I'm taking a look around, I'm having a hard time accounting for them all. There's 8 over there, there's 9, 10, 11 on gas there, 12 moving over. Okay, alright, so yeah, about 24 workers. Looks like he's got 1 full mining base, and he's opting, Boomy is opting to move across the map now with a very scary carrier army, with more carriers on the way, with +1 air weapons about to finish up. Put himself in a very good position. Even catching these Widow Mines, all 5 in the same place, with the Observer, with the Stalkers, moving forward now. He's got to focus down those Widow Mines and get some shots off on the carrier, there we go, on the Interceptors, do a significant amount of damage, forcing him to remake them, take a little bit of power pull away. In response, we have BCs. It's a carrier versus BC fight at the 11.5-minute mark. Ladies and gentlemen, 5 carriers now in the field. 1 BC goes down. This looks like Boomy is very quickly pulling ahead in this fight. Such an awkward beginning for Ananiel, allowing him to grab 5 carriers in this fight. More Interceptors being built. All the money he has right now being pushed towards Interceptors. No additional workers have been created. In fact, on the other side of the map, we have a couple Hellions going to town in Boomy's base. The entire army may just be these 5 carriers. Just take a look at the unit tab. A handful of Stalkers over here just sitting. There we go. Now engaging in the fight, looking to take out those Hellions. But the story is over here with these carriers. So much damage being done. 41 workers left for Ananiel. He was upwards in the 60s a moment ago. As these carriers are going to go uncontested on this side. And there's the tap out. There's the GG. Boomy wins game number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, game 1, Group B. I hope the rest of them continue to be that awkward. That'll show me to make predictions and think I know how to play this game. Ladies and gentlemen, game number 2 is going to take place on Lost and Found. We're going to get right into this. What kind of hijinks can we expect? Only these two know. Only these two know. That's right, Tiki. 86 supply, 4 carry production. Heck yeah. Oh, I clicked watch with others. Watching solo. Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, game number 2 of a best in 3 of Boomy versus Ananiel. Spawning in the top right-hand corner, the red Protoss. It is 86 supply carriers, Boomy. And the bottom left-hand corner, the purple Terran with the crazy, wacky builds, lots of Hellions on the map. It is Ananil. Now, that last game, Ananil was able to tank almost the majority of Boomy's army. But the army, the carriers that were on the field the exact moment it happened, ended up being the determining factor. Ended up being the Hellions can't shoot up your entire army. Is Blue Flame Hellions. While your timing is great and I am crippled, I now have enough force on the map to take out your army and move across the map. Vikings and battle cruisers feel awkward when going after carriers, but it's really hard to build a counter to carriers that quickly as they move across the map. So interesting timing and attack last game from Ananil. But Boomy, it looks like Boomy recognized the position that his enemy was in and just capitalized on it by being incredibly greedy. And as I didn't even see the carriers coming up, because I'm bad at observing, I thought Boomy was in a very difficult position, only to see the fleet arrive. So taking a look around, paying a little bit more attention this time. Take a look at the map. This is another big main base, lots of space for drops here, and a relatively small amount of dead space. You can trap units and drops here if you're clever. But this area here, nice for drops, nice for getting in. Terran have the Reaper jumps up this wall, very small place. For the last year, all the maps have had very small Reaper jumps, limited, so we're not playing Reaper hopping games, and we've. Protoss have started just... there we go. As I was saying, Protoss have been preventing Cheese by blocking the Reaper jumps. The third base Reaper jumps. We do have a bunker going down. Looks like just out of visibility. Oh, not just... Oh, there it is. Now that the Nexus is finished, he is going to see that. He's going to clean up the worker and pop the Reaper out. Now that bunker was a little bit closer to finishing, or if it had finished, it would have been another story. Looks like Ananil is just in it for the cheese today. 2 Reapers. Now sometimes 2 Reapers forces a response out of the opponent. Looks like the other Reaper was the third Reaper might have been canceled when the bunker didn't finish. But at a minimum, these Reapers are going to force a response. They're going to force the creation of buildings and units that Boomy didn't want to do. Boomy didn't want to create. He wants to be on his rhythm. He probably had a plan. And now that we're here, Boomy has to respect it, has to put up, spend some more minerals on the production of the defense. Now at this point, there's not a third Reaper. It didn't show up, so can feel a little more comfortable. We'll see where he decides to play this game out. Canceling the shield battery there. Feeling like the threat has immediately subsided. Observer on the way. Looks like Cyclone, Marine. Cyclone and some Marines popping out here one at a time for Ananil. Working on STEM this time around, opting to go Bio. Good to see a little bit of flexibility here in this Terran player. A little bit of Bio, a little bit of mech. Even got a bunker up to shore up the defense, working on a wall. I see an actual wall this time. So the craziness and the awkwardness of the last match, not necessarily apparent of the entire wealth of knowledge of Ananil. Can't judge a player on one game. So we are seeing something a little more normal this time, a little more standard. All right, more Stalkers being pushed out here from Boomy. It looks like we have a push out. Boomy wanting to move across the map. Maybe get some damage, maybe get some poking done. He's going to be met with a decent defense. It's going to be hard to break this. 2 Marine, Reaper, ooh, even a Marauder on the field now to support these Cyclones. A Hellion, just a nice, really relaxing bit of variance here from Ananil, as 6 Stalkers push over here. Now the Observer sees all this, so I wonder what Boomy thinks he wants to get done on this side of the map. Maybe trying to contain, maybe apply a little bit of pressure. But this force here, the Defender here, and Ananil, has quite a scary army that I don't feel these Stalkers really have a chance here, other than to really keep his opponent contained and stay on the information. Keeping the fight on your opponent's side of the map sometimes gives you that advantage. Protoss now onto 3 bases, working on +1/+1, spotting the Hellion move out. Now on the other side, looks like we are defending with a handful of Stalkers and a Disruptor, poking in, trying to pick off a Marine, losing some shield for their trouble. The bunker now being destroyed. The Reaper coming out here to find the Stalkers, running right down. See, at a minimum, look, the Stalkers are making some money for themselves. Hellion over here doing the same thing, trying to scout, ooh, there it is. There's the scan. There's the Observer. Now you don't know immediately what that army's doing. Looks like Booby immediately feels a little more uncomfortable and decides to move back home. On the other side of the map, taking a look, let's take an account of what's going on. We do have a handful of gateways. Looks like we're moving into the Twilight Council. More Disruptors being brought into the field. It was recognized as bio. It does look like Disruptor is there for flavor of counter bio. +1/+1 about to finish. The Robotics Bay is... Yep, that's the Disruptor. The Robotics Bay is on the ground, of course. Looks like we're trying to do a small gateway boost down here in the 3rd base. Kind of spread out your gateways. A couple in the main, a couple in the 3rd. Whether that's information concealment or just base building here, giving them a wall to cover for these rocks. Terran taking the 3rd base, a little bit behind the Protoss, but actually a little behind the Protoss, both in in bases and workers. 67 to 54, 13 worker lead here for the Protoss. And this is the Terran ball. The army, a handful of medevacs, Cyclones, Marauders, Marines. Actually, a significant number of Marauders here on the map. That is a very scary force. And it will depend a lot on Boomy's control, even though he's got a little bit of a lead. Now, this Zealot, Hero Zealot, spots the move out. And this is going to give Boomy a little bit of time to respond, find himself some good positioning as he moves to intercept this. Ooh, catching a medevac. He's going to have to... Oh, there we go. Stimming Marines forward. Marines, Marauders. We have some Stalkers at the front. They're going to get mowed down. Looks like this Disruptor caught a little bit off. I think it got off a Disruptor ball, but it ended up throwing itself against the Cyclone. There's a great hit with the Disruptor ball. The other one running right past. Excellent hits as the Marines go down. Disruptor ball's moving forward to take some damage. For the most part being ignored, but this army being cleaned up as a drop. Hits in the middle of the main base. Stalkers focused a little bit on the medevac. Didn't finish it off. Doing some blink micro to stall for time as the rest of the army come forward. He's going to get 1 medevac. Going to get 2 medevacs here. Absolutely cleaned up the entire push. That was not the kind of fight Ananil wanted to take. But the supplies surprisingly even, as it looks like Ananil continuing to micro back home. Switched over to tanks, Marine, Marauder, medevac. A very bio-friendly army. Those tanks are going to do an excellent job of pushing back Stalkers. Boomy securing a 4th base. Maybe licking wounds and recovering from that aggression. Even though it was a little bit of a fair trade there. Hello, Class Rock 55. Welcome to the show. We are on the first match of the series, or of the group, so you have missed nothing yet. So taking a look around and account for things that have happened. Some shield batteries, photon cannons here with the 4th, giving a little bit more of a defense. Dark Shrine out. I haven't seen that utilized yet, but I wasn't paying attention. DTs move across the map here. Looks like they were spotted, and there's the scan to try to stop them. Very good eye there from Ananil. DTs unspotted do a significant amount of damage. Trying to put down, there we go, trying to put down the turrets. Scanning, keeping a really good eye out. This DT moves to natural. There's the stem, and it looks like a series of very ineffective DTs. As this one over here comes to hide on the 3rd. Trying to get some damage. No, I like the Zealots here from Boomy. I like the Zealots across the map as spotters, as well as the Marines. There was another Marine here, but it looked like it went down in the fight. And really just good job information gathering for both players here. All right, there is another push out. Annabelle staying aggressive, staying on the other side of the map. Oh, headphones. All right. All right, getting some good siege positions here. But the Stalkers coming from the rear. Marines stem forward, try to push this back. Unfortunately, it looks like the techs were shooting at the lone Stalker up front rather than spreading their damage. There goes the Storm. Decent job dodging it. Not getting the best connections there with the Storms, but seriously pushing the army back. And there is a Colossus now on the field. Oh gosh, gorgeous disruptor shots. Disruptors here being the champion of this game, melting away large pockets of bio units every time. There goes so much AoE damage on the map. It looks like Boomy has just selected all the units that are good against bio and has decided to make each of them a handful of times. He's got Storm, he's got Colossus, and there's the drop moving up to the north. Boomy a little out of position here, as it looks like they're going to get the Nexus, maybe. It's so few units too. There's a handful of Marauders, and they're being cleaned up as another force drops over here into the natural, spreading this very large conga line of Protoss units around. And then goes the Colossus getting on top of that Marauder. Stalker's getting in under the medevacs, and looks like cleaning this up. Taking a quick account of things. Does look like a little supply blocked for the moment. Not enough supply for Colossus, but not actually supply blocked. Colossus, expensive units, needs more pylons at this moment to get this production facility going. Behind this, 3 of them about to finish up. +1 shield started as this ball moves across the map. You gotta love the Protoss for its ball, and not just in that it creates all the units, but the units stack up together so well with Colossus walking right on top of everything, concealing really the true threat here. There's not a lot of surface area in this army. Do look like we have some good positions here with the tanks, the Marines, the Marauders, the Vikings here to hard counter the Thors. And actually getting a good concave, so this is Boomy getting aggressive, but walking into a very good position, getting great hits with the disruptors. The Storm, gorgeous Storms going down, blinking onto the tank, moving forward. Colossus going down. The Vikings starting to do their job. One Colossus very close to being finished off. The Marauders actually poking at it from the side. There go the Vikings moving in, throwing themselves against the last Colossus in the field. Stalkers up north, fighting a handful of Marines. There's the recall. And he's able to save a small portion of this army as he brings it back home. Back on Ananil side of the map, it is Marines, Marauders, it's tanks. There's so many barracks with tech labs sitting here. I think there's one he's making double Marines on. About to get 3-3. We're about to finish 3-3 upgrades. 3-3 Marine, Marauder, Medevac, and Tank, becoming a very dangerous army composition. He was able to get He was able to get this base down here, the fourth base. But Boomy still has an uphill battle right now. This is a massive Terran army. But it is 3-3 versus 3-3. Fully upgraded Protoss starts to get a little scary, as I'll be interested to see where he takes his tech switch, as we see a Stargate finishing up right now in the production tab. The army's moving forward. The Vikings getting ahead. Ooh, absolutely fantastic for Ananil catching the Colossus, but running into a storm. Great defensive storm there as these armies start to try to find their positions on the battlefield for this last engagement. Leaving the tanks a little bit behind and stemming quite a distance. All the workers actually, looks like he pulled all the boys aggressively. Excellent storms going down here. Storming out the Marines, storming out so many Vikings going down. Now, was all the Vikings for all the Colossus, so it couldn't have been a better sacrifice in this fight. But these two armies are just annihilating each other at every turn. Ananil, this looks to be the last witness of Ananil's army, actually. 30. Oh, I'm looking at the workers tab, excuse me. Both armies nearly the same value here, but this should be cleaned up on Boomy's side. There's the GG for Ananil. GG, well played. Brought back in for Boomy, and it looks like Ananil's going to hand game number 2 to Boomy, and Boomy moves on to the winner's match. Ooh, all right, so we're going to take a 1-minute break. I got to run real quick, and I'll be back. And then we'll get into game number 2, and the rest of our competitors have Fizben and Ribeye. So I'll be back momentarily. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. You have to excuse me. I stepped out and wanted to grab a Tylenol real quick. I'm starting to get a headache, and I really don't like to let those things progress where they really just gnaw at the back of your head. So we're going to move right into game number 2, match number 2, Ribeye versus Fizben. And for those just joining us, we do have the mystery game number 3. Does it exist or does it not? First one, we're going to start right off, right away on the insanely awkward map that is Dreamcatcher. Ladies and gentlemen, spawning in the top left-hand corner, the purple Zerg. It is Ribeye. His opponent in the bottom right-hand corner, the orange Zerg. It is Fizben. Alright, so at ZVZ, the first move matters heavily. And we can already see a difference in the supply count. Oh, wait. Looks like Ribeye a little... I get ahead of myself so much on this. It's like a little bit behind on creation of the Overlord. It's gonna be a little bit behind. And no, wait, all right, I'm done trying to figure this out for a moment. But take a look around. We are gonna get looks like hatch gas pool from Ribeye. We should see, there we go, the gas drop for Fizben, just a moment behind. A little less of a sharper opening, it looks like. As the two overlords meet in the middle. And the spawning pool goes down for both players. So a lot about this map that I find interesting is outside of these two bases. So a main base is fairly small. Most of the room for building is up in the back of the base. For the natural is also kind of small. It's got a ramp at least, a very defender advantage kind of situation here. But then you immediately have two relatively equal options here for third base, and a middle route that you can close off with rocks, forcing all the army, at least until they tear down the rocks, to funnel in from the side. So it can be easier to secure both a fast third and a fast fourth here if you can lock down the rest of the fight. Looks like Fizbin down here saving up a little bit of minerals. As you can kind of see the efficiencies of Ribeye start to take effect here, pulling slowly ahead in supply. As we talked about earlier, this would be slightly less rehearsed in his core mechanics, but we'll see how his gameplay, and his micro, and his tactics and strategy, and all the other things that play in the Starcraft, how they come into play when he faces off on who I know to be a relatively tough opponent in Ribeye. There's a little bit of indecisiveness from Ribeye here. There we go. Drop down his own Roach Horn after spotting his enemies. And coming here with a couple wings trying to poke this out. Poke it out, they said. Poke it out. What is poke it out? A couple wings over here trying to poke and gather information. Queen's going to push away this Overlord and just deny too much damage here. It's just been holds his own at the front gates. Alright, so good Queen production here from Ribeye. Looks like he's opting for the Evo Chamber and the Roaches. Should see +1 Roaches, +1 start with the Roaches here. Actually a little behind is Fizbin, more than halfway down his own +1, so his Roaches are going to be a little bit more of a threat initially before Ribeye's workers are going to before Ribeye's workers and his economic count takes off. Now, the interesting thing we're watching is Fizbin is really committing to Roaches now, and there's no more workers coming. He's building up an army. This looks like it might be an all-in. He's trying to put a lot of damage down really quickly, and right now, Ribeye doesn't seem to be decisively reacting. It looks like he was trying to get some more information to see if he can really pin down this push. And there it is. He spots the Roaches. He throws down 5 Roaches in the production tab, but not even a fully dedicated defense here. It's 3 more drones being created for Ribeye here. So he's trying to eke out even more of an economic advantage. But as these Roaches move across the map, I'm not sure if he's going to have enough in time before he sustains a decent amount of damage. Now, great creep spread here on the front of this base, already extending into the rocks, but he's forced to pull workers here, forced to put down the spine crawler, and he tries to hold the defense, losing several workers in the process, but more Roaches moving across the map here, getting more workers, all these extra workers that he created, he tried to squeeze out. Now he's just losing them, taking only barely survivable engagements. Now Ravager's being morphed out of here. Out of the Ravager candidates. I'd like to call low health Roaches Ravager candidates. But Ribeye spotting it, pulling back the Overlord, making his own Ravagers, so he doesn't get behind here in this fight. And it's all happening right here. Ribeye even popping out more drones, more workers to replace those he lost, and moving out. Looks like moving out while he can, while he could potentially outnumber his opponent for the time being. Fizbin over here bringing Lings into the fight, holding off a wall, giving himself a great concave, but ultimately it looks like this army is going to fall down to a Roach supremacy. This is a difficult place to be because as you lose Roach count, 1 more Roach is significant. 5, 6 more Roaches in a Roach fight continues to be significant. Fizbin, on the other hand, opting to fall back and drone up. There were 6 or 7 more drones on the way, dropping down a spire. Now, very dangerous position here. This next few minutes is very precious for Fizbin. He needs to stall any kind of counter push, because as he puts down the spire, normally you put down that spire when you are head on roaches, when you're feeling comfortable with your fight, but you can't finish it. This spire looks to be one of the defense, and if these roach numbers continue to push up, if Ribeye makes a strong push right now and follows through on it, it's going to put Fizbin in a very difficult position army-wise. He's invested a lot of money in the spire, and it's going to take a little bit of time for that to pay off. Alright, he gets in position. He moves up the ramp. Ling's going in first. Spot him. Pull the army to the bottom of the ramp. Looks like he's able to move in here very cleanly. Going right for the Roach Warren. He kills that Roach Warren. There's suddenly much lower number of things that he can respond with here. Fizbin tapped out. Ribeye takes game number 1 very cleanly, very well executed. G mother effing G. All right, a little bit of chat there. Class Rock. Oh, yeah, no, totally the right move. Totally the right move there. Excuse me, Ribeye is in chat. This is the Ribeye. Finds himself with a fantastic podcast. Are you still making... have you made any episodes recently? I think I'm caught up the first 5 episodes where he talks to sports people involved in sports and sports personalities, both esports and regular sports. So it's an interesting mix of people. So, just had Colt Terran on. Awesome. If you want to drop the link in the stream, there's a couple of viewers here. But it's a great show. I do listen to it on my way to work, so I'll have to catch that Colt Terran podcast episode. But that being said, let's get into game number 2. Ribeye versus Fizbin. This one's going to take place on Catalyst LE. Hey, yeah, it's a very nice hoodie and hat. Boom, now we're there, and we need to go to the right overlay. As we go into game number 2, Catalyst LE. So, on this best of 3, Ribeye has taken the first game. Spawning in the top left-hand corner, the purple Zerg. Hoping to close this one out swiftly with a 2-0 victory. It is Ribeye. His opponent in the bottom right-hand corner, the orange Zerg. It is Fizbin. Oh, yeah, send me the link, Ribeye. I'll post it. Sorry about that. My bot caught you. Alright. Looks like Fizbin opting for a very fast pool. Like, hatch, sorry. A very fast hatch. Like, there's not an Overlord on the map yet, and he went hatch, gas. This is something. We'll see what this involves into. This is not a build I'm familiar with. Oh, are you inviting me on? Did we? Anyway, talk to me. All right, casting words. Trying to read chat silently for some reason because I'm good at this. Hatch gas pool here from Ribeye. Much more standard timing. You can take a look at the differences in supply here. Oh, I gotta answer that door. Oh man, 1 second. Alright, sorry, that was very awkward. Yeah, stream is still technically going. Hello! I'll explain that as we get back into this game. I paused it for after a few moments. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything crazy before I hit this button. Okay, here we are, back in the game. So, normally I can ignore all people knocking at the door because they just drop packages and leave them, but I was informed earlier today that that Brandy had something coming in that needed a signature. So, I am sorry for that. We are back in the middle of that awkward pause to continue what is game number 2 between Fizbin and Ribeye. Now, what we saw very early was a 13 hatch. It was a 13 hatch, 12 extractor, and I think maybe an 11 pool. Right out of Fizbin, so I'm curious on what he wants to do with this, if this was just an experiment, did he have a build in mind, as he's pulling lings to the back of his base, pulling a lot of lings to the back of his base, a little bit of information prevention here. He did pull off of gas at exactly 100 to get speed, so it looks like he wants to surprise his opponent with a handful of lings in an interesting way. So a lot of people will pull the lings over to the side and kind of store them maybe over here, but this should catch his opponent a little off guard with this timing. It still is a fast pull. It doesn't look like there's going to be a baneling nest following this. This handful of lings over here coming across the map, you know, might not see this in time, so we'll see. We'll see how really his information collection here from Ribeye goes to see what kind of reaction he brings forth. Now, he does have a baneling nest coming. He has 6 more lings on the other side of the map. And this is your first poke here. Usually meant to make sure things are going the way you want them to. Speed about to finish. These are some crazy-looking ling skins. I don't know which they are. I'm not sure if that was caught, but it's definitely going to be caught now. Ignoring these lings to the... They're getting so much damage done here. 3 drone kills between them, and now they're going to be taken out by the lings that we're still pulling, actually, in the back of the base. He sees that he left him back, and now he's across the map. Ooh, a very interesting position to take a fight. You don't want to morph on banelings that are... Ooh. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't see the banelings more, if you don't know when they're going to come out, there's the how. There's the GG. Fizbin taps out. Ribeye takes game number 2. All right, that's the second series. Game number 2. Ribeye will advance. As you see now, my third one was a decoy. It was another Catalyst LE. Oh no, I accidentally clicked it way too many times. And now I have to, there we go, exit the game and come back out. So, thank you for, so far, this has been a very interesting series of games. If you missed it, Boomy and Anadil's game number 1 was very unique. So once we're done here, I do recommend you go back and check those out. As we move on to the winners match now, between Boomy and Ribeye, starting off on Lost and Found. Ladder Edition. There are the fireworks to celebrate the 8th anniversary of Starcraft. Ladies and gentlemen, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, the Orange Zerg, after a decisive 2-0 victory against his opponent. It is Ribeye. His opponent, with a less decisive but no less impressive 2-0 victory against his opponent, it is Boomy. Alright. First few moments of any ZVP are precious as the probe moves across the map. We are getting a 16 hatch that will prevent any pylon shenanigans from preventing the hatchery. And there we go, opting for the hatch gas pool. Sometimes Zerg here like to do a 3 hatch before pool. If you're confident in your ability, and ability to hold some really quick pressure. It's relatively safe. Protoss don't have a lot of ability to get across the map incredibly quickly outside of some nasty proxies. And I often do see a very fast third here. And I still wouldn't be surprised if we get a third pop down around the 20 supply mark here from Ribeye. But so far, opting for a hatch gas pool. Very clean opener. And this looks like this probe actually looking to catch a drone as it attempts to do said third. Opting to stay there for just a moment. Now checking the third to make sure there wasn't a drone there himself. See, very, very normal here for Protoss. Keeping an eye out. Looks like he's going to have a pretty good patrol path there, and he's going to sit there for a little bit, trying to gather the intel on the first move. Now, this pylon over here for Boomy, I love this pylon. It's just one thing I've learned about Protoss is your wall contains your basic tech, and your next pylon over here is like your, where am I going to go next? You watch this pylon. If you scout for this pylon, sometimes it's here, sometimes it's up here behind the mineral line. Anywhere on the base, the second pylon usually talks about the tech path that your opponent wants to go, and then we can see the Stargate gets dropped right there. It's kind of a way of both keeping all the tech off of one pylon, hiding it for at least a little bit, forcing the opponent to come look for it. But this is my sneaky tech pylon right there. Alright, looks like the Adept moving across the map. Probe over here going to check for another third. Now there is still a 2-base Zerg. 32 supply, and we should see either an expansion soon, or we should see the intention of whatever 2-base play he has planned. Speed about to finish up for Ribeye as the Adept is going to sweep on in here, get canceled, get a little bit of information. There goes the Baneling nest. And there goes the Lings to say hello to their buddy the Adept. Between the Queen and the Lings, he's going to have to pull back from that. We'll see what he decides to do as... Alright. Excellent timing there. I am very impressed with all the Protoss players, and they're like, I'm going to cancel the shade timing. Too many times I would have missed it. I would have missed the shade timing, and I would have... oh, is he going to... Oh, he is going to manage to get the Adept. 4 Ling heroes there, getting the Adept as it runs away. And now actually a fair number of Lings, a respectable number of Lings moving across the map here. We'll see what they intend to do. Is this a scouting mission? Is this trying to get some serious damage done? But they are going to spot the Oracle moving across the map now. Oracle very good against Lings. We'll see where he decides to engage. It's always tricky. The Lings got to stay in your purview for a little bit if you want to get him. But opting, looks like for a Baneling... for the Baneling bust. 10 Banelings being morphed up there on the top side of the map, as these Lings actually do a pretty good job of pulling the Oracle away from the fight. Oracle pausing right there in the middle. And the Lings doing a decent job. Looks like they're going to dodge him. Second Oracle goes out. Banelings are now at your front door, Boomy. What's your response? You don't have a lot at home to deal with this. Oracles are great, but they're not there as the Banelings move in, throwing themselves against an Adept. Trying to find juicy targets among the probes. Thank you, Coltaran, for the subscription. I love you, buddy. And these Banelings, such juicy connections. As the word count drops down to 22, the Lings continue to do damage across the map. The Oracles show up, start activating their lasers. As the Lings move around trying to get some damage on Ribeye. Absolute unit right now, doing fantastic damage all across the map. I can't even keep my camera on all the places that these Lings are in, as the Oracles... looked like they were doing a good job of pushing it out, but they are going to miss the gateway just barely as Lings doing a good job of spreading across the map. 3 Oracles now on the field. Once they run out of energy, though, this will be it. Are they going to do it in time? And it looks like they are going to clean up the initial rush here. As even more units from Ribeye. This man is relentless. He continues to pull them across the map. Behind this, though, 4 drones, a spine crawler, and there's still no wall. And those are some very low energy Oracles. We'll see how much of a charge they have. I think only one can activate. It takes some juice to get going. As these Lings are running free, getting even more damage to the workers. Only 10 workers left right now. 5 workers, 4 workers. Can he get them all? There's one more worker, very low health. He gets down to 2 workers. Where are those 2 workers at? They're hiding workers. There are 2 workers left. A couple banelings being morphed in over here. There's the GG. There's the tap out. Ribeye takes game number 1. GG. Baneling bust. A little hectic. Lots of things all over the map. Let's see what this second game looks like as we move on to Catalyst LE. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. We are on the winners match of Group A. For those just joining us here today, both these players 2-0'd out of their group. Ribeye has now taken game number 1 with some cheeky banelings. Spawning in the top left-hand corner, the orange Zerg, it is Ribeye. His opponent in the bottom right-hand corner, the blue Protoss, Boomy. Alright, pylon going down. We should see very similar opening here from Boomy again. He's going to drop a gateway and then move across the map, find out what he can learn, make sure there's no cheese coming his way. Ribeye, on the other hand, is at 17. Oh, there we go. And just now going over to the hatch. Feels a little more comfortable. Ooh, maybe not making the hatch. Okay, checking for pylons, and then going into just a slower 17 hatch. Maybe feel more comfortable with the timing of Boomy's probe scout. Doesn't need to rush out a 16 hatch. He'll feel more comfortable with his economy. He won't be. He'll be a little bit ahead than his normal ZVPs. But there it is. There's the pylon, and there's the pull. It was absolutely spotted by the Overlord, pulling 8 drones to handle this. You know, I like it. I was gonna say an over drone commitment, but they got to attack the pylon. There's the cancel. Actually, you know, honestly, with this drone commitment, he's behind a little bit in mineral collection. He's just now throwing down the spawning pool. So, you know, intentioned as a fake pylon, got it. Excellent. I don't even know. Let's watch. Let's watch this madness unfold as Ribeye resumes the game he wants to play, and Boomy gets out on the map, trying to. There we go. There was no commitment. Yeah, it was fake. Well, I even know that was there's not a forge. So yeah, excellent mind games. Boomy starting to try to pull Ribeye apart with the small stuff. All right, taking a quick look around the map. Boomy is going to sit there and watch for the third. Really, it looks like he's just on his rhythm. He's playing what he wants to play. I think that's a gap. Yeah, it should be a gap. Which means X building's there and a wall is there, right? If I know my Protoss, which I don't. Alright, there we go. There's the Roach War, and there's the first tech move from Ribeye. An early play into Roaches. And it doesn't look like he wants to secure a fast third again. And there goes the first adept, actually cleaning up those lings, or that ling, as he shaded into the base to try to gather some information. There we go, again with the excellent cancel. Something again I respect a lot of Protoss players for. A lot of time to commit on one unit, watching one unit. And even though, especially those who don't just watch one unit, we're going to get it. There we go. Adept moves his way into the base. He's not going to get anything done as this Queen's able to pop him out. So good response there from Ribeye, kind of denying any real damage out of that first Adept. And we do have a solid wall now. That first tech again was the Stargate. So it looks like he does want to push the issue and play the Oracle game. He wasn't able to play earlier. There's the robotics facility. To follow it just after, we'll see what he decides to do with that. But looks like, you know, one Oracle for now. Moving across the map. We do have some Spore Crawlers going down. But if he's able to find a good angle, he can get a little bit of damage done here. As the Queen spots it and starts taking shots. Not an immediate activation, so he's going to have to call back as a Void Ray. Ladies and gentlemen, Boomy has brought a Void Ray into the battle. So let's see what he hopes to do. Hopes to do with this. Now, Void Ray, a decent choice against roaches. As long as we see a full commitment of Void Rays and a full commitment of, roaches. Roaches don't shoot up, yeah? Void Rays do a decent amount of damage, but it does take a lot of Void Rays to be dangerous. Not a horribly standard choice. Now, seeing the Nidus just going down here, while the Void Ray actually pushes away the singular Overlord that we would have liked to use to call the Nidus. It makes this Overlord very important, as we now have a scouting Void Ray on the rise. And we'll see if the Oracle really close to spotting this. Nidus. We'll see what the response is. Void Ray actually out of position to catch the unit. Very slow. It could be slow to respond to this. He gets this click. He finds the Nidus. He's got to see it now. And the Void Ray actually returns home. This would have been a much quicker delivery, but the Void Ray did a good job of picking off the Overlord. Just now, Ribeye gets the Overseer in position. He's going to call it in that normal, very large spot here. It's going to take. Actually, it might take him a minute to find it. Sounds like he missed the initial sound there. He's not looking for the Nidus. Drops down a Changeling immediately with the Queens. This is a very dangerous force to suddenly have in your base. Protoss needs that wall, he needs that defense, but now he's faced with 4 Queens. Good injects there from the Queens. Good deals, if you will. So 1 Queen goes down. Mortal's doing a little bit of focus fire on the Queens. Able to heal another one. Absolutely excellent job actually cleaning this up. The Immortal is worth their weight in gold right now. Doing a massive amount of damage. And actually sending that entire thing back. Almost the entire thing back. Hero Ling getting 5 kills now. Ribeye not out of the game yet. He still has a worker advantage. And if he spends a little bit of time on economy, he can boost right back up to a very competitive army. Zerg's ability to remax or re-up something dangerous. Very respectable. I'm not counting him out of the game yet. Opting to put down some defensive spore crawlers, knowing that's a very common attack path for the enemy. Trying to counter push, take out a third. So preemptively here now, knows he's in a difficult position after that attack. Had a tough game. Tiki hashtag mind games. I'm with you. So we do have a small move out here. Zealots, Immortals. For Boomy. Excuse me. Now maybe the time to move out was a little earlier. It's, when he had the very understandable advantage. But if you don't feel comfortable with the armor you have, you don't think you can close it out. That's still the better call. While Ribeye might have been a little more vulnerable at that moment, doesn't mean you were ready to close it on the fight. This Warp Prism now in position. Going to bring in more Zealots. This is actually a really scary army starting to build up on the side of the map. If he finds himself in a good position, these Immortals, very scary. It looks like Ribeye recognizes this. He sends the Lings over. He's going to get every Immortal he gets is super valuable. And actually, excellent juggling there. The Warp Prism pulls back the Immortal. Ribeye taps out. GG. Boomy takes game number 2. It looks like we're going to go to a 3-game series. Well done. Absolutely fantastic. And that means game number 3 is not a decoy, and we're going to go into Acid Plant LE. Interesting enough, when I did these renames very early on, and I don't even remember which ones are decoys or not. But we are to game number 3. Game number 3. As Ribeye and Boomy continue to battle it out. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, the orange Zerg, it is Ribeye. Right, so both these players have taken a game off the other. Spawning in the top left-hand corner, the blue Protoss, it is Boomy. I'm confusing games in my head. The first one to a Baneling bust. Very cheeky, very fast build from Ribeye. And the second one, which looked like a nice cheeky build. When I say cheeky, relies on secrecy and information, popping a Nidus Form in the middle of his opponent's base, but not having the forces to finish it off. Very good defense by Boomy led him to taking the victory, just with a massive collection of units that he had over his opponent, that he had and his opponent didn't have. So we do have the first probe coming out in the same scout timing we're used to seeing on Boomy. We see Hatch cast Pool over here from Ribeye, so it looks like, at least initially, there's not an immediate threat moving across the map. Alright, I do like that probe as it dances. There it is. That's what it's trying to catch. It's trying to see the drone moving out, and this was maybe decides not to make the fast third. So that 20 drone, at least for some of my builds, is a fast third, but getting spotted by the probe, deciding not to play those probe games. We may have just seen a shift away from Ribeye's initial plan. So, good job here from Boomy. Just a little bit of a patrol there. Really forcing his opponent out of a comfort zone. Now taking a look back over at Boomy's base. We are seeing that first tech go down. It is a Stargate again. See a lot of Stargate openers in PvZ. It looks like this Adept showing up just in time to save this probe. Now he's going to shoot forward. And do the Adept thing where he pokes and tries to get the information. That third base did end up going down for Ribeye. Looks like he was comfortable to secure that once he pushed away the drone with a couple of lings. So rhythm a little off, but nothing game ending, obviously. Taking a look around, double gateway, a double gateway front door, popping out the first Oracle. So far seems to be standard fare for the games that Boomy wants to play. So we'll see how this evolves for him and what the second tech piece he drops down is as he goes up to 4 gas. Looks like the Spore Crawlers are going down, at least in the main. It's followed by a Roach Warren. So, Phoenix moving across. Phoenix second now after the Oracle. And this is actually going to find himself a little bit of, damage here. The Spore Crawler is not complete. He activates the Oracle, gets one kill, then is pushed away by the double Queens protecting the natural. Solid response there from Ribeye. Double Queens, almost never a bad thing. Useful for the entirety of the game. As he comes over here, sees some second damage, but he's going to run to a Queen and another Spore Crawler. Seeing the Roach Warren just as it finishes up and getting the tag on some of those units. Nice and important tag there. If any early tech switches are going to happen, he's now going to be able to see it due to the vision he now has on this entire area. Alright. One Phoenix is going to push away this Overlord. Kind of the second Phoenix, very good job of kind of cleaning up the map. Alright, so we are getting some switches in tech here, or direction, from what we have seen in the past. That is a phone call I'm going to not take. So Templar Archives to a couple of additional gateways and a Warp Prism that is already positioned to move across the map. He wants to find it here. So I'm assuming drops, double Archon drops in his opponent's base. So we'll see how his micro works and how good of an execution he has, because it's going to be a very dangerous thing, a very difficult thing to deal with. It requires a lot of micro from the Zerg, and that does a pretty good job of detracting. Oh, there it is. There's the Archon morph. Lings have absolutely spotted it, so I see them. I imagine he's going to get in position now. These are hero Lings here, seeing the spotting and actually running away, deciding not to engage, because Boomy might not have noticed that he was noticed. There we go. The Overlord will spot this again. If he didn't know he was noticed before, he knows now. So, pausing at the base here, and actually being pushed away by a handful of queens and some drones. Second robotic soda going out. Looks like a really pushed to Immortal. So, Immortal, Archon, the Zealot legs. Yes, so Immortal, Archon, Zealot. A very strong composition right now here for the Protoss. Just a few minutes away from being very dangerous. Picking up Archons and saving the day. All right, this Phoenix continues to clear out Overlords. Now, Overlords actually in significant number on the other side of the map. Might have been a rally point for a little bit at least. Phoenix is going to get some Overlords here. Oh, Overlord speed research now. So if he catches these Rubbi, might be able to split them in 2 different directions. Save at least one of them. So look at this damage. He's going to unfold for a little bit. As Ribeye takes a 4th base, and this War Prism sits threateningly right here. Ooh, excellent job on Ribeye moving Hydralisk in position. That is the worst loss of a War Prism today, losing 2 Archons. Excellent catch there from Ribeye. But on the other hand, losing a lot of Overlords in the process as Boomy double downs on this 3rd base, securing it with some additional cannon and moving a force of units over there. Good stasis there as he defends on the right. Ooh, and another stasis as he defends on the right. Prevents army movement right up the center. Not even in the first place they think to look in the prime directions, right? But catching what might still catch a good bulk of the army as we watch Hydralisk start to move the ramp. Gonna send a couple roaches ahead first. We'll see what gets caught. It is all the roaches, almost all the roaches, as the Hydras start throwing down some significant damage on the top side of the map. Looks like he's still catching Overlords. Significant Overlord harassment. Really doing a good job at denying vision here for Ribeye. As more units, more roaches actually move across the map on the other side, could find themselves stasis again. This is kind of back and forth fight. And this dance of units, ooh, squeezing right past. Maybe they don't even know they're there. Oh, wow. This is an excellent catch there. Right on the edge. Ribeye not even seeing it, not expecting it, missing it completely. So really, a lesson learned. Excellent placement. Excellent placement there. You go off to the side a little bit to catch most of the army. Actually, these cannons and the shield battery doing a great job of pushing this back. Roach is coming out of stasis. Looks like the Hydras did a good job of splitting the army away. So the stasis roaches were actually forgotten and left alone. They're going to get into the main base. We're doing a little bit of damage, but the army is hot on their tail. It looks like the Hydras are retreating home for now. Taking a quick look at the production tab, we have another Warp Prism being crapped right now. More Immortals on the way. A nice gateway explosion as Boomy ramps up for the fight and for the army that he really wants here. Excellent use of the Oracle so far. Looks like they really threw off the attack timing and really forced most of Ribeye's army back home. And there's a Warp in. Let's see what he's trying to do this time. Is this more Archons? Alright, this one is a little bit of Zealot harassment. As let's take an account of what's going on across the map. We do have 2-2 upgrades on the way for the Zerg. Infestation pit going down. A Lurker Den. Moving from Hydras to Lurkers is a very big deal. A significant tech switch. and a lot of damage if you can find a good concave with them. So game ending for me, at least in several occasions, and I imagine for most people as well, if you catch them unaware. We do have a very scary movement. That is a lot of immortals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 immortals moving across the map right now. You're going to have to beat the whole army here. You can't just pick off a few key immortals. We even have zealots pushing from the other side. An excellent move out here. At a minimum, you draw the army away with this, and you push zealots into the main base. We're going to zoom out a little bit to try to watch this whole fight. The immortals absolutely wrecking, even from the bottom of the ramp, moving into position, forcing it out. Storms going down. How do you beat this army? What do you have to have on the field? Is it Brood Lords? It might be lurkers that aren't out yet, as the lurker den is finished, but this army is melting away as Boomy moves across the map with way too many immortals, doing massive amounts of damage. These are walking single target tanks, ladies and gentlemen. Storms going down, preventing any kind of advance. The Zealots have cleaned up the third base and will soon be moving to join the army, kind of as a reinforcement from the front wall, because all the Zealots are gone. You can't handle this much immortal. This is the beginning of the end. I can sense it now. Ribeye is just leaned back. GG. They accepted the defeat on that one, ladies and gentlemen. That closes out the winners match, and Boomy, the first one out of Group B, showing us an excellent series of games here. I tell you, I had I was a bet man. I was going to put the money on Ribeye, but it looks like he's going to have to work his way through the losers match and into to try to make it out of this group. And to do that, he's going to face the winner of this series, winner of the losers match in the determination match. So let's focus on these two new players. It is Fizbin and Anna Neal. Some very interesting players here. One of these two players fighting for their last chance, scraping and clawing their way, trying to get out of this group here. They will have to beat their opponent and then face the dreaded Ribeye. We go into game number 1. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, spawning in the top left-hand corner, the purple Terran. It is Anna Neal. Alright, we saw some crazy games from Anna Neal in the beginning. Just some weird wall-offs and some funky proxy marauder work. So I'm excited to see what this person brings in today. In the bottom right-hand corner, his opponent. In the orange, it is Fizbin. Alright, so I think Fizbin and Anna Neal were both players. I think I've cast Fizbin before today, but I'm not sure. Definitely players I don't believe I have, but I did cast the entirety of last All-Invitational, so, maybe I did. Names are hard, and it's been a little bit of time. We are going to get, it looks like a scout here from Anna Neal. I hope I'm saying that right. Could it be Naniel? A Naniel? I think Anna. And I guess I'm assuming Anna Neal is a male. But just because they play Starcraft, I assume all of you are dudes unless you tell me. But when I say Anna Neal, I just think feminine, so I keep tossing pronouns around in my head here. So if you know this player, that'd be nice. We're going to see a bunker go down right on the edge here. I don't think that's something, that can be seen yet. He does spot the bunker. We can watch his camera there. Okay, all right, let's get a response to this going. And moving across the map, looks like one Reaper moving across and a second one in production. So we'll see how hard he decides to commit to this. Actually, a spine crawler. So this would be a good time for me to see spine crawler to bunker distances as the Reaper gets in here. It looks like full-on attack on the spine crawler, trying to get the thing down before it comes up. Great micro here from both players as you're trying to trade, damage for health. Opting to pull the. I like that, pulling the worker out in an interesting position. Doing a lot here with one Reaper and one SCV, and a second Reaper on the way. So this could be a very difficult position here for Fizbin. I say that's full crawler, that's fine crawler, doing the job it needs. Excellent placement there. Just got to stay alive long enough to make that work. And these Lings now gonna push this away. And we saw this last time. Enidil did the same. 2 Reaper pressure. It forces a little bit of a commitment out of the Zerg, and units definitely throws them off their rhythm. But behind it, he's going for more of a macro game. He's got 2 command centers going. And maybe even in a little bit of a vulnerable position with so much 800 minerals dedicated to economy pushing. Actually 800, 950 now with the orbital command being made. And behind it, he's not even into starport tech, and we're getting a collection of banelings. Looks like this is being. Fizbin says, you know what? Fine, we'll play your game. We're gonna bring banelings into this, and you don't have an army to play with this right now. And the Cyclone going to be very key here as we actually use bombs to push banelings away. Completely break down that front door, but there's a lot of Lings not in the fight right now. And Fizbin can definitely handle these little bits at a time. He's either got to fully commit or pull away and do the focus on the economic game. But we have 14 more Lings on the way. The Terran here in an interesting position. You would think Cyclones aren't good against Lings, but they are, and they're good against everything. We do have 3 going straight for 3 supply depots here, rebuilding that wall. Going to force another commitment of banelings out of Fizbin here if he wants to come back down on that. But this orbital command at the bottom still very vulnerable. So we'll see where Fizbin decides to focus his efforts. Use those words again. Its mining capability is vulnerable, but it can just fly. More banelings being morphed in. Spine crawlers, or spore crawlers, excuse me, going down in Fizbin's base. And this is where the action is. This is where he decides the match right here. Can he get enough damage out? But with one more baneling bust, it is a different story right now. There are different. Here we go. Trying to get a bunker down the low ground. There's a lot more units up here for the Terran. He's had a little bit more time to prepare. And that's why you don't put 3 supply depots down, because at a minimum you lose all 3 in the baneling bust. Ananil still in a really good position though, and the longer this attack continues and fails, the worse Fizbin's going to find himself. And committing 10 more Lings and 6 more banelings to this fight, he really needs to pull back and pray for some time, I think, at this point with drones. But we'll see. It looks like he's gearing up for one more pressure, and behind this, he is starting to drone up a little bit. 7 workers behind, and even though the banelings are explosive, there's some hero units with the Cyclone. I'd love to see the Cyclone finally go down. He's done an excellent job. 19 kill Cyclone here today. He will be the hero unit. Sending 2 Lings over there to find out what's going on. Defensive Liberator looks like it's going to change this game immediately. Even getting 1 baneling down. Looks like the Cyclone finally goes down. They're able to break a bunker, but that's about it. Fizbin's attack's starting to fizzle here as a very small worker supply. Now he has the capability to expand and get the workers out and take the lead eventually. But right now, there we go. It's 12 workers. This is what he needs. Some defensive, some spine crawlers on the defensive, and he needs time. He needs Ananil, or Naniel. Ananiel. I like Ananiel. And I like the way we say Ananiel. Anyway, he needs Ananiel to give him time to build. not only give him time to build, but give him time to outpace him, which at the moment, it's going to take some time. I mean, 38 workers is a good start, but you need a third base. And it's that risk. He's got to take that risk. But actually losing over here, losing an Overlord, getting supply blocks is going to hold him back even more. As he's just now starting to get his creep spread. Has been very delicate position, so this is going to depend heavily on the pace of an annual. Does an annual close this out? Or does he let this go on long enough for Fizbin to get back into the game? Scanning the main. So we should see that there's not a lot there. We are just morphing into layer tech. And there we go. He's going to stop the third. Or at least he's going to provide some harassment at the third base. As he pumps out Marines, tanks, medevacs, getting stim on the way, +1 shields. There we go. That's going to survive one Hellion. He's going to need to commit a little more than that. But Ananu, having been on 3 bases for a while, just able to catch up to that worker count explosion that we saw from Fizbin, and just expand. He went a very greedy, fast third before his natural was down. Survived a Baneling bus, and then just finds himself in a decent position. Now, we do have an army move out from Fizbin, and it looks big on the minimap, but he only has 15 army supply, and the entire army of Ananiel is over here. So as long as he doesn't get caught off guard too much, he gets a second set of there we go, second set of tanks. 3 tank siege. This is not breakable with what Fizbin is currently showing right now. 52 army supply to 17. It's just getting smaller. As this seems to be a very good and secure third base for the time being. Alright, taking a look around, we do have 4 racks. It's an armory on the way. We are pumping out 1 tank and 2 medevacs at a time. This army is just slowly going to get bigger and bigger. +1 range on the way to pair up with the +1 shield. Zerg on the other side of the map decided to go Spire. It's going to do a good job if he can micro and pick off some tanks, but Marines do a very excellent job of pushing away mutas if you can catch him. If you can catch him, and that's what mutas do well. So taking a look around, we are on 3 bases. We are 44 workers to 50, but the army supply is telling this story. Fizbin again blocked, supply block 73 out of 66 supply available. There we go. There's the explosion. There's the explosion of overlords I was expecting. That'll give him a little bit of room, but excellent job here. Really excellent job by Anil, holding the pressure, holding the follow-up pressure to his early aggression. And I say early aggression because I haven't seen him commit to that build. It is something I've seen him do more than once. He puts down the bunker, he doesn't fully commit to it, but he causes a reaction, and then he builds off that reaction. So I'm definitely seeing this game in the favor of Mandingo right now, more than, well, it was almost double the army supply a minute ago. We had a small explosion of 6 mutas being brought to the fight. Tanks sieged up on the other side, morphing in Hellbats. And this is always, how far unsieging at an inopportune time, picking up excellent pickup there, actually, saving all the Marines, pulling them back out, sieging and hopping tanks forward. He's going to get this third base. There's not a response to this on the field right now. While mutas have popped, they are currently inactive. This isn't a fight that they're going to necessarily help engage with. Those tanks are very, very well forward protected. A couple there you might be able to get some damage on and pick off. But he stims forward. He's going to get a handful of these banelings, and it does look like the mutas opting to fly over and try to snatch some tank, get some damage done. There's the tap out. GG, and Ananiel takes game number 1. Now, why doesn't my song play out when it's victory? I feel like it cut short on me. Anyway, game number 1 goes to Ananiel, and we move into Catalyst LE. for game number 2. Stretching. All right. Best of 3. Nope, nope. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, the purple Terran, the monster of... You know what? What do we have here? The monster of unusual aggression. It is an annual. Spawning in the top right-hand corner with the quick spawning pool. It is Fizbin. Tired of the long game. He wants to end this one quickly. I've made this call before, and, you know, maybe not. But as I am looking at the production tab, there's not an overlord. So, absolutely looks to be fast aggression here. But don't let me call it too soon. These players have surprised me before. I'm going to pull away from that before I overanalyze it. Alright, take a look at this base and looking at the potential. She's opting to fortify in again. We've seen Ananiel not expand immediately. It's not. He didn't like the fast expand. We're going to see this first Reaper come out as he moves a SCV across the map. Let's see if he drops his bunker as with last time, but this time he will be met with a fast Roach Warren. That's what we're looking for. This is a 14 Roach Warren, ladies and gentlemen. The first Overlord of the game just now popping out for a hit like a 14 Roach Warren. Very, very non-standard. But you know, those are the builds that work at this level, where you can pull something out crazy and unexpected. Excellent here for Anniel though, because this is exactly what he wanted to see, and you can see he kind of freezes there at that moment. Oh, there we go. Freezes there at that moment to try to take in what's happening, and he's going to see these roaches as early, probably almost as early as he could have seen them, opting to start with the bunker, not canceling the command center. So yeah, that's about 400 minerals worth of army that you kind of want out right now, and it looks like he's going straight tech lab. He says, I need marauders. I have a little bit of time to push this out. Good, marauders, maybe tanks. He's taken the slow choice, but we'll see if he bought himself enough time to pull this off. So Reapers going out here could do a good job of stalling this. There we go. There goes the first marauder. And we'll see if he pulls this off. He will have maintained a normal build and just answered the threat. So looks like these roaches pause the middle map, not to take their time, but to morph into Ravengers. As this game continues, this is a very hard thing to stop, and usually for me it depends on the tank. Do we get a tank out in time? Is he gonna go for the tank? Is he gonna get this wall up? There we go, wall going down. Getting the command center, which actually would be a very nice thing to fly over and take out formation out and thinking about it. I have to keep that in mind for my own game. Pulling in a worker, but I guess we're preparing it. Actually just opting for the orbital command. The cojones on Ananiel right now. He feels so comfortable with this very fast Roach Ravager pressure that he's just going to morph an orbital command. Morph an orbital command and actually take down another supply depot. Even though he's fine on supply, I just watched this game. If he holds this will be fantastic. Because it just seemed to be a very measured response. He's got the right kind of units. He took his time getting them, and he's going to clean that up. And this entire early pressure absolutely wiped out. There's been GG's out of this, and Ananiel takes game number 2 so cleanly. I'm going to go take notes. I don't actually play Terran, but I'm going to take notes about the proper responses apparently to get out 2 Reapers and 3 Marauders and put them in a bunker while you continue to just ignore it and do the rest of your build. So Ananiel will get another shot of exiting this match, and to do it, he's got to face Ribeye. As we move on to the last series of the All-Invitational 14 Group B qualifiers between Ribeye and Ananiel. Starting off on the biggest of maps with the two most aggressive players in this group, Darkness Sanctuary. So a 4-player map, 2 players who love to hide information and love to do some awkward things on a map that is just going to let them do that. Alright, spawning, ladies and gentlemen, in the bottom right-hand corner, the orange Zerg, it is Ribeye. His opponent in the top right-hand corner, the purple Terran, it is Ananiel. In this best of 3, we have immediately Ananiel securing a wall on the bottom of the rim. This is what we're talking about. Comfortable enough to take awkward building positions because of information. It's less likely that he's going to see immediate aggression and a need for that wall. So we might even see... looks like he's back and forth here for a command center first. And we do know that Ananiel likes to be very greedy with a lot of his builds, opting for command centers as roaches march across the map, opting for 2 command centers after poking with 2 Reapers, which might only be there to give him more time. So this is not out of character for him, and we'll see how well this pays off for him in the long run. This Overlord actually opting to scout diagonal for the second one, Ribeye starting him across the map. Now this first one, usually you want this to go north or vertically or horizontally, because if they are in that position, you want to know as soon as possible. But I usually see the second one go left. It does look like he's going to check for. It looks like he's checking for proxy. He's checking for odd timings with his Overlord, and then checking for bases. But he is going to get his information fairly quickly. Although he might turn around when he doesn't see a wall. So we'll see. Actually, with some intent, let's see what Ribeye's planning is, because he seems to be... Yeah, he's moving in. His vision's right about here. He sees there's no wall at the front. But he's going to spot... Okay, he's going to spot the rest of the base now. He knows his opponent is in the top right-hand corner. Alright, so we do... And Ananiel sees all now. He gets the scout. Sees the spawning pool. Handful of lings here. Should push that away and chase it down. The same with this Marine. All scouting tools will be defeated. And it looks like the wall that Ananiel has decided to make is utilizing the orbital command. Makes forces lings to run this way to get the thing done. Interesting choice here. And it looks like we have a handful of lings coming across the map, so almost like a tower defense camp. So the supply depot, the bunker rather, will do a decent job of stopping it, and they'll get shots as the lings move all the way across. So I can see this is interesting. It's an interesting formation. Now, what it does mean is we'll have to lift a barracks. We'll have to lift the barracks to get anything done. And it does look like he's focusing a lot on the supply depots. These supply depots aren't just coming as he needs them. He's purposely building this maze of a wall. Can that build? I don't think that can build there. There we go. We do have the world's Starcraft's most awkward wall off. It is costing him a significant amount of momentum though, as he commits very heavily economically and in supply. I guess supply depots aren't the worst thing to have in the world. It's not the worst thing to spend your money on. You really use them. Now he's going for the engineering bay. Okay, I'm so intrigued by this wall, but as I talk about this, we do have Banling bus coming up because there is a lot to be lost. Now he does have extra supply depots. He did build a supply depot at the bottom of the wall. He is blocking it off with the reactor. This is so good. as a handful of banelings come up here. They will bust the bunker. They'll get right into the workers. The workers try to get away, to repair, to do something, and they're taking so much damage. All this economic gain he was hoping to get out of this early orbital command just lost, and just losing a significant number of lings there. But more continue to float across the map. There's a GG. Annual taps. An Annual taps out. Game number 1 goes to Ribeye. And I think that's why we have the walls the way we do. I don't want to be too judgy on builds, but it definitely gave Ribeye the opportunity to build a force that could not be contested by any force that an Annual could have made. So much money was spent. I think there was the 3rd command center. There was so much extra supply there that should have been in an army that would have held that really easily, but he ran into that problem. So we move on to game number 2 of the Deciders match. Winner of this moves out into the out of Group B, following Boomy. So spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, the Orange Zerg, the Terror. Go watch his podcast. It is Ribeye. Alright. An Annual who has ideas, who has innovation, is looking to do something creative every match, and is so entertaining to watch. It is an Annual. Alright. The music is so hype. This is the craziest of StarCraft music. It almost knows this is it. This is the final match. This is the final match. Final series. Game number 2 could be the final match. No spoilers because I don't actually remember which game 3s I made up. So over here we do have Hatchcast Pool for Ribeye. I'd say safe, but it's always hard to tell what an Annual is going to throw at you here. Only putting down a partial supply depot. Excuse me, before wandering off. So really feeling that wall. Now, curious here. He immediately goes over to work on the supply depot. I don't know if it's possible to get lings across the map fast. Lings across the map in under a minute and a half when the supply depot started. So I don't know if it was necessary. But I'll have to look at it. So again, he's dropping the bunker. So I expect 2 Reapers out of this, and then a fast pair of command centers as he attempts to double down economically behind it. I imagine if he started to get real damage done here, he might continue with the Reapers. But here we go. It is going to be spotted, and the response is going to be to pull 5 drones and there we go, harass this worker, keep him from finishing the bunker. Actually gonna come back and try to finish the bunker. Excellent pick there, focusing on the right unit. Catching a handful of workers. You don't normally have this many workers chasing a Reaper, but they were in the right position to do it. Actually, the Ling's more worried about the bunkers getting this Reaper a handful of kills. He's at 2. Alright, so he gets 2. We get a lot of lost mining time here. So really a favorable opening for Annual, and we are seeing comfortable enough here to put the command center on the low ground. And there we go. There's the 3rd command center. This is a very fast command center that an Annual likes to take. And if he can survive the counter pressure from Ribeye, he'll be in a decent position once the engine gets going. Ling's coming across the map to find, see what they can see. The layer actually started at a few moments ago. So Ribeye looking to take this game in a direction. Who just manages to finish the command center and get away. Handful of Lings opting to being a little decisive about what to change, but they will with the worker. And the Reaper, very mobile, very hard to capture right now, as speed's not yet done. Not a fight these Lings can take, but it's an excellent control, or some miscontrol by the enemy, and Annual secures secures the natural for now. Almost has a third on the way. It's really going to ramp up that worker production. And really try to go into a normal game. So this is the 2nd Reaper So we've seen this now several times out of an annual. This does seem to be one of his go-to builds. Taking a look at the Zerg, going for the Nidus. So this is interesting. I think this is a smart move based on what we've seen from these players. The Roachhorn going down, he's starting to bank up a little bit of gas now. And we watched Ananiel doesn't usually have all the early response units. He's again, now I'm going with massive, looks like he's going massive Hellion. This is something we saw the first match where he ended up pulling so many Hellions together and sacking them against his opponent. He's starting to build a wall. But as I was going on, the downside of what Ananiel's doing right now is he's got to make up for this bit of greed here. And there's a period of vulnerability he has at about this moment where his opponent has a significant army that's going to be in his back door. We do have a move out. He is actually opting to move across the map for what might be almost base trading. No, he hears the Nidus a little too late, moves out to try to do something, but he just doesn't have enough units in the right place. Opting now to pull workers. The Hellions coming to fight. Hellions don't do so well against these armored units. Having to pull these workers, having to deal with lings, roaches, queens, everything's going nuts. He's losing so much. There's the tap out. Ribeye takes game number 2 in the series of Cider match, moving on quite decisively there. Congratulations to both Ribeye and Boomy and the excellent matches and games we saw at a Fizbin and an Annual. Thank you everybody for playing that group. I hope to see those players, both of those players, again in the future. I don't want my first time to cast them also to be the last time. This was the same game. Yeah, I copied Catalyst. Look at that sneakiness. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, please comment. Like and subscribe, whatever. I do like your feedback. So if you're in stream, always tell me what I'm doing wrong, what my sound's like. Tell me when I'm wrong about strategies, because maybe the 2 Reaper bunker 3 Nexus is very standard these days, and I just haven't played enough StarCraft. Let me know. Let me know these things, and that is that's it for today. Tomorrow I should be casting another group. I've been trying to cast one a day. I got a little distracted yesterday. Let me take a quick look at the All-Invitational. There is a chart for there's a casting chart of who was gonna cast it. Let me find that real quick before I close off. Yeah, congratulations again to Ribeye. While I look for this Google Doc. There we go. It's a casting tracker. I cast Group C. I cast Group E. So you should see Group C on Thursday morning about the same time. You should see Group E on Friday about the same time. And I can go ahead and mark Group B as completely and utterly casted. So thank you again, everybody, for watching. The next thing I like to do is go out there and find somebody to hand you off to. Some StarCraft. I think. Oh, there's a link to. So everybody says he's casted Group C. So we'll take a look. It looks like I'm casting Group E. That will be me. Ribeye says he's casted Group C, so if he has a good VOD, I might skip to Group E, but I'll take a look at what he's got, just because we like to keep them together. At a minimum, you could link them together into a VOD, right? Anyway, I'd like to find somebody playing StarCraft who has some less viewers than me, somebody to send y'all over to. So if you have any suggestions, I'm going to go ahead and look real quick. It just kind of keeps the community going, keeps us tighter. Actually, it's not showing me number of viewers immediately, but it just still seems to be in order of viewers. So I'll just find myself. There I am, and I'll go a little lower. Let's find a cool name. Groovy Man. I know Groovy Man, don't I? I met Groovy Man at DreamHack. So let's go ahead and send you over to Groovy Man. He's a pretty cool guy, very competitive. He's playing some Starcraft right now, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Go play some Starcraft.